Alright, so this is the first video that I've ever actually done. And if this goes over well, we might do more, but I'll see. So, the first video is going to be about it's a 99 Crown Victoria, so a police interceptor. So what's wrong here is the heater core went out and started leaking all over the place. So I'm going to replace this. Unfortunately, I already am halfway through, so I already pulled out the old heater core. But if this video goes well, then I'll start doing these from the beginnings of my projects. So I'm pretty much just going to walk you guys through how to put it back in, and then you kind of do it in reverse and try to help you guys figure out how to do it. So as you can see, you're going to have to pull the entire dash down. So I've already gotten the old heater core. I don't know where it went. So this is the old heater core that pulled out, and it's got a hole in the bottom right there. It's where all the liquid came out. First thing, so here's the box that the heater core sits in. It's right in here. So what you do is there's 5 screws on this guy, one there, 2, 3, 4, and 5. These are all, let's see, what did I use? 8mm. So these 5 come off, this little cover comes off, and then the heater core slides in. There's some foam wrapped around it, blah, blah, blah. The box is held on to the firewall with the 2 pipes off of the heater core. Another bolt that's here, and then 2 bolts that are down below underneath that I'll show you in a minute. So I'm going to go ahead and put the box back attached to the firewall. So shove the 2 pipes through and line up the 3 bolts. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. Alright, so I got the heater box piece lined up. Let me see here. So this piece is lined up. I got the bolt up in the top, the 2 pipes, and then the 2 bolts down at the bottom. Let me see if I can show you guys down here. There they are. So these 2 guys, there's 1 bolt over here. This is super difficult with the camera, but I'm trying. So there's 1 there, 1 there. There's 2. I busted one of them off, actually. So what they are is little studs. These guys. So one end goes through the firewall and held in with a nut, and the other side sticks through, goes through the heater box and then held in with another nut. Something happened with this one, and I don't know, it got busted. And so I couldn't, this one came out when I pulled the heater box out, this one just slid out of the firewall. So here's the 2 pipes that come through. This is the heater core itself sticking through, and then if you can see over here, that is one of the studs that was sticking out of the heater box earlier. So then I just throw a nut on there. There's 1 nut way on there. It was an 11mm, I believe. Yeah, 11mm. And on this one you need a deep socket because the stud comes through too far. So here's the stud that came out with the little nut on it. Here, let me show you where they go. So there's the one that you can see that I got in. That's still attached. I don't know if you can see it, it's a little dark, but the second one goes right there. Let me show you. This guy would have gone here, but the stud ripped out of the firewall. There's a big plug that's kind of important that you kind of have to do. This guy here attaches down to this guy. It's like the only big, well, there's a couple of big things, but this one's got a little screw on the back, and it allows you to pull the dash out further. So I undid that, which helped. So I'm gonna do that, and yeah, give me a second. Okay, so I got the wiring piece plugged in. These ones here, well, except for not this one. This one's got to go back into its little hole. And then, so I reattached all these guys here. Let me see if I can see. Reattached these guys, plugged in some wiring pieces there. This one's got to go back in here. And then now I have a monkey here just gonna hold up this side of the dash so that I can hold up this side, and then hopefully we'll get it lined up. And then there's two side ones over here. There's these big ones here, this one, and then there's a couple more down there that I can show you once we get it in. And then there's one pretty simple one off to the right side, right there, and then it lines up with that hole there on the dash. Okay. So give us a second here. All right, so this time we actually got the dash in. And so there was a couple screw nut combinations that we had to do. So over here on the passenger side, there's this nut that went onto a stud that came out of the frame. That's a 10 millimeter on this one. Then there was two more that were underneath here, right there. There are two gold ones that are right here, that are on some sort of a bracket that kind of hold the bottom with some slots, so in case you need to adjust to get some other things lined up, which I may actually have to do. And there's also two big ones off to the left side. There's this guy right here that is a bolt that threads into the frame, and then up and inside here is a nut that threads onto a stud. It's a little difficult for you to see, but it's up there. And then that one is a, let's see, what did I use? I used a 15 millimeter on those two. Alright, so we just got the dash back up in, tightened everything down. So pretty much the tip is start with these top three. One in the far left, one in the middle, one in the far right. Yeah, they're tabs, so they're little things that kind of clip onto a sheet metal piece. So just be careful you don't lose them when you're taking it apart, and then when you're putting it back in, just keep an eye on them, because we kept knocking them off and made this a lot more difficult than it needed to be. Once we had the dash in, we did an electrical test where we just hooked the battery up, turned the key to an auxiliary just to make sure nothing was burning. You also need to remember to put in the, I disconnected this big electrical box piece here, made pulling the dash out easier, so remember to put that back in before your electrical test. Other than that, we also put the steering wheel back up. So the steering wheel's pretty simple. There's 4 screws, one there, another one right here, if you can see it, that guy, and then 2 more back here. They're all the same size, so they're pretty easy to locate once you find the first 2. Where is it? Right up there. And let me, I can find out the size for you guys for this one. But we're gonna tighten all these guys in, and then line up some more pieces. This guy here, this is the shifter indicator piece. So that kind of hooks onto a little pin that's on the shifter, and then this screws in. So I left the screw in here when I disconnected. I put it back in so I didn't lose it. So I just got the steering wheel bolted in. And then, yeah, with those 4 that I was showing you earlier, they were 1/2, or you needed a deep socket for the back one, so it was 1/2 deep socket, and then I could use a 13. So both of them worked. Next step is going to be to attach this metal bar underneath the steering wheel here, onto that piece. So there's 3 machine screws that hold that guy in, which are these guys, and there's 2 on the left and 1 on the right, so 3 of these guys total. Yeah. Okay, so we finished putting the dash back together, put the steering wheel, everything's all back together. So I'm gonna just show you the quick last couple bolts that we gotta do. So there was a couple underneath here. There was 2 off to the, or there was 1 off to the right here, and then 1 underneath the parking brake thing. Parking brake release there, so 1 up there, and then this piece is all just kind of pressed in, and then there's the metal shield underneath that with 5 bolts on there. And then over here we had the glove box. The bottom of the glove box has 3 screws on the bottom that are pretty simple, and then on the side of the glove box you need to make sure you do the spring here. So you just kind of slide it down to release that spring, and then kind of work the way to get the glove box out. And so yeah, that's it. If you have any questions, I guess put them in the comment thing, I guess. I don't know, this is my first time, so thank you for watching, I guess, and I'll see you for my next one.